everyone. Welcome to Ian and Friends. I'm FloBikes Senior Editor Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan, Ian's friend. Today, we are going to give you a wrap-up of what happened over the weekend in bicycle racing. We're going to look ahead to the coming week, and we're going to dive into the news a little bit.
Let's get started. Last weekend, we had two exciting races in Belgium, the DVV Sheehan in Antwerp and the Super Prestige Zonhoven. At the Sheehan, we really saw the emerging star of late in the women's elite field, Denise Betsema, pretty much go wire to wire in winning this race. Lucinda Brand never got quite there, and there was a pack including Sanne Cant and Betsema's teammate, Lauren Vanderschot, chasing, but yeah, no one could really challenge her. And then in the men's race, Mathieu van der Poel did what Mathieu van der Poel does. The race for second place was pretty exciting and close between Toon Aerts and Wout van Aert, with Wout just out-sprinting Toon at the finish. And then Zonhoven.
Yes, Zonhoven. This is one of the best cross races of the year. It is just a massive pit of sand, some epic shots of it, and exciting news again, Mathieu van der Poel just stormed away. And while it's a little bit monotonous to always talk about van der Poel winning, just the way in which he does it's so impressive to watch week after week. At the end of the first lap of Zonhoven, van der Poel had amassed a 20-second lead. Just phenomenal display. We have some news that we're going to talk about with van der Poel later on in the show. What happened in the women's race in Zonhoven?
Well, I do want to touch base with van der Poel, like the ease at which he was going all out on this course in Zonhoven, which was not only incredibly sandy and difficult, like one of the most magnificent shots in all of cyclocross racing, watching them go down this like barren sand hill. It was also snowing, so like frozen snowy ground. And he's throwing tail whips, like on the very first lap. As he's like charging away from everybody with his teammate Tom Meissen, just throwing a tail whip up in the air like it's nothing. And yeah, just the ability that he has to go that fast around this course is insane. And the women's race, again, I mean, if you want to see nail-biting, toe-to-toe bike racing, the women's races is where it's at this year. Again, Denise Betsema and Sanne Cant with just an incredible battle, and Sanne taking it on the last lap. You know, for me, it was reminiscent of what she did at the World Championships to Katie Compton. Just two competitors, totally wiped out, going as deep as they can, and Sanne just has this ability to go deeper than anyone else. Like, eyes rolled back in the back of her head, just charging away.
It's something that we see time and time again with Sanne Cant. Just the last lap that woman can produce is incredible. She can smell the finish line, and she goes so deep for it.
Yeah.
So really, really fantastic racing at Zonhoven. Do go back, watch it on our website, watch it on our app. We have full race replays up. Fantastic weekend of cyclocross racing.
Let's talk about London. Also exciting racing at the Track World Cup in London.
Yeah, we need to touch on this very briefly. A couple weeks ago, we spoke to the Huub Wattbike trade track cycling team. They're out of Great Britain, but they recently brought on Ashton Lambie for 2 rounds of the World Cup, the American world record holder, of course. And this is, if you haven't watched the show, the interviews that we did with these guys, definitely worth a look. It is, I think, one of the best underdog stories in the sport of cycling, certainly this year, really in recent memory for me. These guys, they've just tackled track cycling from such a unique and progressive angle, and everything for them was really resting on this London World Cup. It's where they're from, it's where all their sponsors are, and they pulled it off.
Yeah, really one of the coolest stories in cycling right now. This Huub Wattbike team ended up beating Belgium by 1 second in the team pursuit, which is a lot.
It's a big margin, a touch over 1 second.
When you're going 40 miles per hour on a track, 1 second is a long way. So yeah, check that out on the site. Check out our show on the Huub Wattbike team and Ashton Lambie. We are huge fans, and let's get into What's coming up? Christmas for cyclocross fans.
The most wonderful time of the year, folks. We have 7 days of cyclocross races across 11 days. This is really kind of the crown jewel of the cyclocross season.
Yeah, Christmas week in Belgium is just a wonderful time of the year. And, you know, it being the national wintertime sport of Belgium, it's how they celebrate the holidays. And, you know, not only a lot of races, but some of the best races of the year. Let's get into the highlights. Obviously, the World Cup race in Namur, also known as Citadel Cross. Just an insanely hard, heavy course, tons of climbing. Seems like mud every year. Yeah, just gonna really challenge the riders. And then one of my favorite races, Dille, is this night race held under the lights. Huge party. There's like a DJ at the end, and it's another race that everybody just really wants to win.
Yeah, and the whole series is capped off with GP Sven Nys at his training center in Ball. It is a cyclocross specific, just tract of land. It is a perfect course. And yeah, all of the favorite riders are going to be out here for Christmas week. Our American riders are going to be shipping back over to participate because they have just wrapped up their national championships in Louisville. It's going to be a fantastic time to be a cyclocross fan.
And another special Christmas present, which we've touched on before, Zdeněk Štýbar will be returning to cyclocross for Christmas week as well, starting on the 22nd at the Soudal race in St. Nicholas. So,
yeah, exciting. Cannot wait to see what the Czech champion has in store for us. Is he going to make a bid for the World Championships this year?
I'm counting on it.
Ian's counting on it.
All right, let's get into the cycling news. It is December. It is the road cycling season. It is the time when we take every little nugget of information, every soundbite that a pro cyclist says, and turn it into a major news story. But I think we actually do have a major news story to talk about, which is Sky dropping their sponsorship after 9 years.
I disagree.
Not impressed?
It was a matter of time. It always is a matter of time with sponsors. I think that really the story is how long they stayed with the team, considering the scandals that it's been dragged through for the last couple of years. Yeah, you know, these partnerships come to an end. It's really the job of teams to find ways to keep giving the sponsors return, and I think that it's just kind of natural end for this partnership.
Well, I think when you get up to the level of sponsorship at which Sky was putting into the sport, you know, 30 million going on $40 million, those returns, those become more and more marginal in the sponsorship landscape and probably harder for the team to justify, and you know, ultimately Sky decided that they wanted to go put their sponsorship money somewhere else. I think there are wide-ranging implications for the sport and you know what this means, and I think a lot of people were not so much saddened that Sky was pulling out as you know encouraged that this might mean more parity in professional cycling.
Yeah, I think that everyone's going to land on their feet, honestly. It's a team of really a lot of the best riders in the world. We'll see what they come up with, but right now I don't really think it's a story worth reading too much into.
But where are all these phenomenal cyclists going to go? Where's Egan Bernal going to go in 2020?
Probably whatever that team turns into. They've won the Tour de France.
You know, you think someone else will step in?
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill for the budget that they are looking at, but they've got time to sort something out. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them this July in the Tour de France. That's going to be, yeah, a really, really crucial time for this program when they are on the sponsor hunt, because they are right now going to potential sponsors saying, like, look, we've won the Tour de France X number of years in a row. They're going to have to kind of produce something special this year, I think, to finalize a sponsor the size of Sky coming on. But I don't see it as the end of the world just yet, because they have just such a successful program. Someone will step in.
Well, that gets to our other news, in that it will be a little bit easier for them potentially to win the Tour de France, because one of the best cyclists in the world, second place at the Giro d'Italia, second place at the Tour de France last year, Tom Dumoulin, has decided that he will be focusing on the Giro d'Italia in 2019, which you can watch live and on demand on FloBikes.com or the FloSports app.
Yeah, and I will give us a pat on the back because we did kind of call this when the Giro and Tour routes were announced. The Tour route was honestly pretty terrible for Tom Dumoulin or anyone who has a really, really good time trial in their back pocket. The Giro d'Italia looks a lot more appealing for Dumoulin, and he has decided to go with it.
After weeks of talking about it, we finally decided, and the main focus will be the Giro d'Italia in 2019.
Yeah, also Vincenzo Nibali and Simon Yates announcing their intent to race the Giro d'Italia. Simon Yates saying he has unfinished business at the Giro. Unfortunately, he won't be visiting the Col del Finestre this year, so he can truly finish his unfinished business. But no doubt there will be challenges, and especially those 58 kilometers of time trialing in the Giro. I mean, let's get into the this Tour versus the Giro battle and why a rider like Dumoulin would pick the Giro over the Tour. The Tour, pointedly removed a lot of the time trialing kilometers from their race this year, ostensibly to make it more difficult for Team Sky to win, to, open up the race for climbers, but it seems to maybe be having an adverse effect on the race overall. If the top contenders are now staying away from the Tour because it's not having those time trial kilometers that, they believe they need to win the race.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way the GC riders have just developed over the last few years, where you have to be able to time trial. It's a lot of time trialists who are then picking up the slack on their climbing, because these are the two biggest skills. I think that the ASO organizers are looking for a French winner in the Tour de France, and a lot of the French riders are really climbers well before they are time trialists. That being said, Chris Froome is really still the best of the lot when it goes uphill. So the riders like Tom Dumoulin are shifting their attention to the Giro d'Italia, and it sounds kind of cliche to say, but the passion and kind of unpredictability that the Italians are known for is just so well funneled into the very essence of that race. I think it produced the most exciting race that we saw in all of 2018, and the contenders that are lining up for the 2019 event are, I think it's going to be as phenomenal a race.
Yeah, and the time trials in the Giro this year are not flat, boring time trial kilometers. I mean, you're looking at big hills in a lot of these. The opening time trial
in stage one,
starts with quite a climb, and then the second long time trial as well has a good, nice climb in it as well. So it'll be exciting racing. And sticking with the Giro d'Italia, you went to a movie in LA over the weekend. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, there is a documentary. It has been out for about a year, not yet released in America. It is called Wonderful Losers, and I am so excited about this movie, actually. It's directed by Arūnas Matelis. He is an acclaimed Lithuanian documentary filmmaker. He has made quite an array of documentaries. This is his first foray into the subject of cycling, and he set out to tell the story of the unsung heroes in the professional peloton, and he did this focusing on the Giro d'Italia. He got unprecedented access to the Giro in 2014 and 15, and he beautifully captured the brutality and the just sacrifice that goes into being a domestique in the professional peloton. So often we just hear about the winners of the race, and if you know cycling, you know how much goes into one person winning the race, from all their teammates to the support staff, the support of the team. This is a cool story. No one has really tackled it this well in recent memory for me. We're going to keep you updated with the release date of the film as it targets an Academy Award. Yeah, it is an Academy Award candidate in the foreign film category. Submission from Lithuania that will be announced in January, and we'll also be updating hopefully a release date in the U.S. so our viewers in the U.S. can
check that out. Also look for interviews that Michael did a little bit later with the director of the film, as well as the CEO of RCS, who flew in for the premiere. And yeah, I'm jealous that you got to see it, because from the footage I saw, I mean, just beautifully shot, and the amount of access that they were given to film inside the Giro is just phenomenal. I mean, right up with the racers, completely behind the scenes, you know, they're making a movie from inside the peloton, inside the very race.
Yeah, I'll give you a little teaser. The film opens up with a shot inside the medic car, and it's from that point on, it's just the chaos and the carnage of being inside a Grand Tour. It's a perspective that you really don't get to see unless you've actually been inside the peloton. I think that it's a story that has needed to be told for a really long time, and I really think that it was done quite well. So we will definitely keep you posted on the release of this movie.
All right, and enjoy our Christmas week of racing.
And we missed a piece of news. Piece of news about Christmas week. Matthew Vanderpol, he has announced that he is going to be targeting a lot of the spring classics on the road, much like his rival Wout van Aert. What do you think?
I think it's going to be super exciting. I mean, Vanderpol has proven that he can dominate on the road to the same capacity that he is dominating in cyclocross, and I wouldn't say dominating in mountain bike, but definitely competing at a very high level, 3rd place at the World Championships. Vanderpol was 2nd at the European Championships in an incredibly hard, technical, demanding race. Peter Sagan dropped out with like 60 miles to go, and Vanderpol was still up in the mix, narrowly lost. And then won 2 stages of the Arctic race of Norway, kind of just making people look silly at the tops of these summit finishes. So, you know, can he do it in the classics? I definitely wouldn't put it against him, considering the success we saw of Wout van Aert.
Yeah, Vanderpol is, in my opinion, the cyclist of a generation. This guy can do it all. The few times that we have seen him win road races, he's just done it with the ease that we see him ride away from his competitors on the first lap of a cyclocross race. I cannot wait to see the dynamic that this brings to the Spring Classics, which also will be on FloBikes.
Yeah, Gent-Wevelgem, Ronde van Vlaanderen, also known as the Tour of Flanders, and Amstel Gold, which I think is really the race that he's targeting, being from the Netherlands, it being probably one of the more challenging races in terms of the amount of climbing, the handling skills required. I think the one thing you might question is if he'll have the depth to take on these classics lengths courses of 160 miles, but I wouldn't put anything beyond Matthew Vanderpol at this point.
Watch out, Philippe Gilbert.
All right. I'm going to wrap up the show. Can I wrap up now? Anything else?
By all means, Ian.
All right. Tune in to our wonderful week of cyclocross racing on FloBikes.com, Flow Sports app. We will be back after the holidays for more recaps, updates, and previews.
Thank you for joining.